Trust me, you guys are gonna want to read this book, and toward the end of the video, I'm gonna talk about the pre-sale, because discounts. Ba-doop. Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about Shade by Chad Nicholas. This is his new novel that comes out October 5th, 2021, and I was fortunate enough to get an art copy, and oh my god. First, I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of the book, and then second, I'm going to tell you how I felt about the book. I'm going to try to make this as spoiler-free as possible. If there are spoilers, I will put that in the title, and I will put it time-stamped down below where they are so you can skip them or go straight to them, depending on what kind of reader you are. So we have two timelines, a past and a present. The past timeline has two FBI agents trying to solve a case, and in the case you have a very brutal serial killer who is attacking and choosing his victims in a very specific and horrifying way. So this is unlike any case either of them have ever had. So they're going through this, not only trying to catch the serial killer, but trying to figure out his motives and why he's doing what he's doing, and how to prevent any more victims from being murdered. And then we have our past timeline, which takes our FBI agents and a new character and talks about the general PTSD and mental fuckery that was everything that happened to them. And there is a lot of violence, there is a lot of blood, which I really enjoy, and there is just so much depth to this story that I can't get into because it would be spoilery. So I'm going to move on from here and talk about how I felt about the book. I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. It was fantastic. It was really unique in a sense that I haven't seen dueling timelines done quite this way. And when I was reading it, I was immediately thinking of the Insidious movies, because in the Insidious movies, if you are following the timeline of the movies, it doesn't all kind of like, you're like, why is it going this way? But when you get to the end of that last movie, you're like, oh, it all lines up. And I thought that was great. The Insidious movies are some of my favorite movies. The book starts out with this extreme action scene in a wooded area, and it really does set the tone for the entire book. And you go from one timeline to another, but it's not confusing at all. I know some people, when they read books like that, they think it's confusing, and I personally thought it was super easy to follow. So you start out the book with this action-packed scene that then sets up a little bit of mystery along with it. So that part, just the beginning, it hooked me right away. The writing had a lot of depth to it. The story was fantastic. It's kind of one of those things that, because it's got the dual timelines, to me it felt unique, because I've never seen a book do a dual timeline that flowed as well as this did. As the book goes on and you learn more about the characters past and present, you're going to start asking a lot of questions about who these people are and what their real motives are. So I just want to touch on just the different timelines. So when you have the past timelines, you are seeing both of these agents as, seasoned veterans of their profession, and not a lot phases them. But this particular serial killer with their, particular victims, it's very hard on both of them, like terribly hard. And it affects them both in the same way, but they take how they handle it is hella different. Like, it's way different. And then you have the future timeline, or the present timeline, should I say, that has both of those characters, and they're both kind of, like I said, they're handling it in like different ways. And then you have a third character who's coming in and has her own demons, and it all meshes together so well. One thing that I really enjoyed about it, because it is a crime thriller, is that it wasn't a typical crime thriller. There were the FBI agents really, searching for clues and talking to people, but it felt more real than something you'd see on like TV or one of those little murder mystery novels. So that I really appreciated. The killers, this is not really a spoiler, so flip ahead a few seconds if you don't want to hear this part. But the killer actually leaves behind like notes, and they're vague as all get out, and I think it's more so like less, it's a clue, but it's also more taunting, which I thought was just fantastic. And in the present timeline, there's a lot of bloody, gory, horror, just mess of actionness, and there's also some murder actionness in both timelines. So if you're squeamish, be prepared. That's all I'm saying. It has been extremely hard for me to talk about this book without spoiling it, because I just want to talk about it because I loved it so much. And I'm just going to go ahead and end this with my pros and cons. We're going to start with a con first, because I like to end the video on a good note. My only real con for this book, and I mean for the entire book, is that there was one fight scene that I felt took too long, but that does not mean it was not good. It was still very good. It just, for my taste, I felt like it went on a little long, but I know people really enjoy that when they read a book. So it just because it was a little bit too long does not mean it wasn't good. I don't want you to think that it wasn't good. So this is kind of like a mini con, but not really a con. It's a con, but not a con. Yeah? Pro. I have a lot of pros, but I'm gonna try to give you a condensed list here. So my first pro is that the writing was fantastic. His writing had upped a level. He did such a great job. There was no lagging. It was completely fast-paced the entire time. And there was, even in the moments when we needed that little bit of info, it was still spicy. It still was great. My next pro is that the characters were not only believable, they felt real. You felt everything they were feeling. There is one scene, which I can't say because it'll spoil it, but there's one scene between our two main FBI agents in the present timeline that, it was just, you could feel them feeling the same thing at the same time, and it was just like, it was so good. And I feel I'm actually planning to reread this again as soon as I get my physical copy, because reading it on my phone was very difficult for me, but I did it. So as soon as I reread it, I want to kind of go in and maybe suss through the parts that I thought were the best parts. I think that would be really cool. I've never done tabbing before, but I think this is the book I want to do it with, y'all. And last but not least, my favorite pro, it was gory and bloody, and there was a lot of action, and it was just, I like blood in my books, and this book has a lot of it. So, and one more thing before you go. From now until October 5th, 2021, when the book is released, you can get 25% off the Kindle edition, 15% off the paperback, and 15% off the hardcover. So pre-order now. I really hope you guys enjoyed this book review of Shade. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you're going to read it. And as always, have a good day. Bye. I don't know if you can hear the rain on my window.